Make a Path presents Let's Talk. Welcome to Make a Path Presents. We're going to talk about realism in zombie movies. However, this relates well with superhero shows, fantasy shows, monster movies, all of them. We're talking about realism basically in everything except for like real life dramas or crime stories like The Sopranos, Goodfellas, stuff like that that actually takes place in our real world. You know what, before I do talk about that, let me just let you guys know, like Make a Path Presents on Facebook, I'm using it more and more now as like a TV guide. Actually, I've been slipping the last couple days. I gotta remember to do this, but I'm using it as a TV guide to announce when videos are coming. So if you're into that sort of thing, I don't spam it, only when I need to. I'll put down what videos are coming. I'm finishing Season 1 of Game of Thrones, so anyone interested in my opinion on Season 1, that's coming soon. Around Friday, is going to be Q&A for The Walking Dead number 46. I might have a bonus video or two, so that's going to determine whether or not my The Walking Dead comic covers video. It's going to be multiple videos. Right now, it's looking like 2, maybe 3 weeks straight of videos, 1 video a day. Depending on if I get a bonus video or 2 in, that's going to start either Saturday or Sunday night. So keep an eye out for that. Now, right into realism in, let's say, fantasy, sci-fi, horror. All of those genres. When I talk about that, I'm not talking about zombies being real. I'm not talking about the monsters or werewolves or vampires or none of that being real. If I'm watching a vampire story, I accept the fact that vampires are alive in this world. Same thing with zombies. Now, the one zombie thing I don't like is when it's a magic spell. I just don't like shit like that. I don't like magic. I don't like wizards. I don't like fantasy. I could tolerate some of it. Some of it's fine for those nice popcorn flicks. Willow's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's because I loved it as a kid. And that has some of that in it, the sorcery, you know? But as an adult, I really don't lean towards that kind of show. But the realism I do want to focus on is, if you're watching a movie, The Walking Dead, we're going to talk about that. A lot of the viewers are Walking Dead fans, so we're going to talk about The Walking Dead. Zombies are fake, obviously, in our real world, so they don't count. I'm fine with them being fake. I don't need them being real. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Daryl Dixon's arrow in the mid-season finale of Season 4. His arrow cannot penetrate the tank. You know, in our real world, his arrow cannot penetrate that tank. Now, that's what I'm talking about as far as realism. If they had that battle and Daryl Dixon just shot an arrow through the tank, I would have had a serious problem with it. Now, there's going to be situations where you're going to nitpick, and this is where it gets borderline problematic for being 100%, not 100%, for being die-hard realism fan, I should say, but then not nitpicking when it comes to parts like Rick Grimes waking up out of his coma. There's a lot of nitpicking going on there. About the fluids, about him walking when he was in a coma so easily. You know, he would have been weak, he would have been in a lot of pain, or whatever. Some people said he shouldn't have been walking, his muscles needed more time to whatever. But bottom line, I don't want to break that topic down into a whole different topic. I do want to say that yes and no, and where the borderline where I accept that not being real is, I don't want to sit there and watch him on the floor in the hospital for 20-30 minutes in like a time lapse of him gaining the strength to walk. I'm totally fine with bending realism a little bit and having him just walk out of that place and hop on a bicycle. I'm cool with shit like that. Stuff I'm not cool with, if somebody takes a cinder block and smashes it over somebody's head and the cinder block turns to dust and that person isn't even phased. That's the realism that I will have a problem with. And I do pick apart some things that I have issues with as far as in The Walking Dead, Daredevil, or whatever. Speaking of Daredevil, I mentioned that the old individual that knocked Daredevil across the room with a palm slap, you know. And somebody did say that that person probably has magical powers. I don't want to get into spoiler territory with that. If that's the case, that's totally fine. If it's real in that world, and this is where it gets borderline problematic as far as confusing other people when we're talking about it. If it's real in that world, I'm completely fine with it. That's absolutely cool. However, if it's just simply an old person, I would have a problem with it. That just was not real. Do you see where it gets a little iffy? Now, I don't go overboard nuts with it. It has to be something serious to where I'm like, you know what, this is crap. It's all the time unrealistic. I just cannot get into this show or movie or whatever. Depending on the program you watch, this can either happen all the time or not as much. And again, when I say I love realism in movies and shows and everything like that, I am specifically talking about everything in the world except for what's fake, that's added. Zombies, the monsters, werewolves, vampires, those are left out. That's fine. I will suspend my disbelief to be entertained by that part of the story, because entertainment is there to entertain us. Let me throw this in here. This fits perfect. The Dark Knight takes place in a real world, pretty much. It's a very realistic Batman movie. Then him and the chick fall down, I don't know how many floors, and they land on the car. Immediately I was like, man, that was unreal. But I let it go. Because we have these gauges where, for a comic book movie, there's more leniency to suspend our disbelief. Do you see what I'm saying? At least for me, anyway. It's a comic book movie, so I suspended my disbelief and I didn't attack it. If that was The Sopranos, or Goodfellas, or The Wolf of Wall Street, I would have called bullshit immediately and knocked the hell out of that movie. But it's not. It's a comic book movie, so I give it a little bit more leadway. See what I mean? I could make examples like this for an hour straight. But that's pretty much what I mean by realism. That's pretty much what I expect, what I believe, and what I think is the most entertaining as far as my own personal preference. Now, I want you guys to weigh in and let me know what you guys think. Do you have a leniency meter, per se, for different genres? Comic book movies, gangster movies, true stories. I know I do. Depending on what kind of program we're watching, movie, show, science fiction, true story, gangster flick, comic book movie or show, depending on what program I'm watching and what genre it's in, that's how much leniency I have between suspending my disbelief and just accepting whatever's happening, you know? So, guys, again, weigh in, let me know what you guys think. Have you even thought about this before? For me, this was something I've always thought about because it just stands out so much as I'm watching it. It's something that I personally can't control. It's something that has always been with me, watching entertaining shows or movies or anything else. So, have you guys thought about it? If you do think about it, what do you think? What's your level? What's your meter to gauge what you accept and what don't you accept? And much more. Whatever you have to say on this topic, this is one of those really fun topics I want to discuss with you guys. I'm really excited and eager to hear what you have to say. So, finger that keyboard, put your minds in the comments down below, because I'm done talking, so it's your turn. Subscribe now.